the mystery of what has happened to the Ark of the Covenant. At least as far as this wall is concerned, we'll have to wait for some future time until there is more tangible evidence, more solid archaeological proof of what may have happened to the Ark. What we're left with is speculation and theories and a lot of anticipation.
We're in Jerusalem to explore the Temple Mount. It was once home to Solomon's first temple, which housed the Ark of the Covenant. It was also the site of Herod's second temple, where Jesus taught and chased out the money changers. It's considered the holiest place in Judaism, and it's very important for Christians as well. After all, Jesus taught there. For Muslims, the Temple Mount is considered the third holiest site in Islam, home to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and Dome of the Rock. Folks, one thing is clear. This is the most disputed, most coveted piece of real estate in the world. And today, with our good friends Danny the Digger Herman and Ze'ev Orenstein, we'll explore the Temple Mount and Western Wall and even search for the lost Ark of the Covenant. That's next on Stakelbeck Tonight. Danny, here we are. What a majestic view of the holiest site in the world. This is the Temple Mount. We are standing on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. A lot of commotion, to say the least, surrounding this site always, but especially in recent months. Tell us why the Temple Mount is so important to Jews, Christians, Muslims, to the entire world.
Yes, this is possibly the holiest GPS coordinate on the planet. This place has seen so much violence, so much sanctity, so much religious zeal.
Yeah.
It's really uncomprehendable. And, just think of the view here 2,000 years ago. When Jesus comes from the Galilee, what did he see? He saw the smoke of the animal sacrifice, and he saw a giant white building, the place that in the days of Solomon held the Ark of the Covenant.
The temple. He saw the second temple, Jesus.
Yes.
Before that, as you said, Solomon's temple.
And in his time, there was a grand white Roman-looking like temple, except that it was the Jewish temple. But centuries later, it was all in ruins as the Romans destroyed it. Then the Muslims gave it the view that you see now.
And we have here
The Dome of the Rock, which is marking by Muslim tradition supposedly the footprint and the mark where Muhammad ascended to heaven to get the prayers of Islam. And accordingly, a giant mosque next to it is called Al-Aqsa, Masjid Al-Aqsa, the farmost mosque, which is what the Surah 17 says about the night journey of Muhammad, where he went on his winged horse and then went up to the heavens to get the prayers of Islam.
So the Dome of the Rock is a shrine. It's not a mosque, just so people know. The mosque is next door, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is the third holiest site in Islam behind Mecca and Medina.
Yes, except that there's a slight problem. The Quran never said that it happened in Jerusalem. In fact, the Quran never mentions Jerusalem. Not
once.
Not even once. It said it happened in the farmost mosque, which if you're in Mecca, could have been in the outskirts of Mecca, could have been in Medina, or could have been just a night vision, which some Muslim scholars argue as well. We think that it's really in the mid-7th century when the Umayyads were banned from doing pilgrimage to Mecca, but they were controlling here in Damascus.
And the Umayyads were?
Descendants of the Muhammad's ruling family.
Yeah, the Muslim rulers at the time, basically.
Yes, who were then ruling Damascus and southern Syria,
yes.
Okay? But not Saudi Arabia. They were banned from doing the pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia, to Mecca, so they created and branded Jerusalem, formerly holy to Jews, then to Christians. Now it will be holy to Islam. Now, first of all, look at the architecture. It doesn't look like any mosque. It's actually a complete replica of a Christian concentric octagonal church. Okay, it's really copying the concept of octagonal churches, such as in Capernaum. You can see to this day remains of an octagonal church marking where Peter lived in Capernaum, or in Caesarea when we filmed there on the hilltop, on the Temenos above the port, there was an octagonal church. There's one also on Mount Gerizim up in Samaria. That's the concept. The second other interesting note is that the diameter of the dome is identical in size to the diameter of the holiest Christian site in the world, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
Also here in Jerusalem, in the Old City.
Just 500 meters apart, but because it's in a higher spot and in an open platform, it looks more grand.
Yeah.
But the building is clearly dialoguing with Christianity. In architecture, in size, and even the quotes inside from the Quran are only reflecting what the Quran thinks about Jesus. Yes, he is important, but he is a prophet, not a Messiah.
That's Islam's view of Jesus.
Yes, and he was born to a earthly woman, but not to a heavenly father. These are the quotes inside.
So we have, dating back over 3,000 years, first, Solomon's temple. The Ark of the Covenant was there, the Holy of Holies, God's divine presence dwelt right there on top of the Temple Mount. Then that temple was destroyed by the Babylonians.
Yes.
Temple rebuilt.
By the Jews returning from Babylon.
Yes, returning from the Babylonian exile. And then King Herod makes it into a grand structure once again, the second temple. That is the temple where Jesus taught, chased out the money changers.
Yes. And 30 years after he's out of the scene, the temple is also out of the scene.
By the Romans, destroyed the temple.
Yes.
And then there's a Christian presence there, the Byzantines.
Very minimal. It seems that they deliberately left it in ruins to show how Christianity took over Judaism, the role of Judaism. Jesus fulfills the Jewish prophetic messianic message. The sacrifice of Jesus now replaces the animal sacrifices that were in the temple. So there was apparently a chapel there, but nothing significant. It was deliberately left in ruins for Christian narrative. And when the Muslims arrive, they see a big empty space, once relating to the Jewish temple, and they want to compete with Christianity, so they make a replica of a church over the place where the temple used to be.
So they intentionally build the Dome of the Rock, where the temple used to be, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Yes.
Interesting, you and I were on the Temple Mount today. We had a rare opportunity to walk around up there, and you made the point that Jews cannot pray on top of the Temple Mount, the holiest site in Judaism, yet Jews are not permitted to pray there. It's been under Muslim control essentially for the past 1,400 years, I guess. Muslim religious authorities control the Temple Mount today.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that.
In the Six-Day War, the Israeli paratroopers were attacking from the west, okay? Or so the Jordanians thought. Since we knew that they were expecting us to come from the west, we made a classic maneuver and came from the east. The Motagur's forces entered through the Lion's Gate, right down here. So they came from the back and put the flag of Israel on top of the Dome of the Rock, and the Jordanians turned around and saw, oh my God, the city is conquered. It was a very swift victory. But then, shortly after, Moshe Dayan, the famous one-eyed general, rushes to the site, takes the flag down. No one even got a photo of it, of this moment, and invited the Waqf, the Muslim religious authority, and in a symbolic way gave them the keys. And he said, you can keep it. But the Western Wall and the plaza in front of it is going to be now a Jewish praying place. And that was the status quo for a very long time.
Here we are, we're in Jerusalem, we're at the foot of the Western Wall. So what is this place and why is it so important?
Yeah, Israeli soldiers are about to make an oath to the state and the army in front of it. And technically, the wall is just a supportive wall of the Temple Mount that was around the temple.
So the really important site, the Western Wall, obviously very important, the retaining wall, but the big one was up above it.
There. But since we don't have it anymore, Judaism adopted the Western retaining wall, or more specifically part of the Western retaining wall, because it was accessible, it was visible, and also when you're standing here, you are very close to where the Holy of Holies, where the Ark used to be.
The Ark of the Covenant.
Yes. So both being accessible, being close to where the Ark used to be, and being 2,000 years old. These three reasons combined branded the Western retaining wall as so holy. Youth groups come here and dance and sing and chant for the Shabbat. Holidays on Passover. It's amazing. Amazing to see all the crowds gathering around here. This place always has its very special dynamics.
Yes, the wall starts here. It does not end here. Like you said, only 11% is visible. So you are going to take us deep beneath the Western Wall right now, and we've got some exciting things to show everyone, right?
Totally. This way.
Let's go. Well, Danny, here we are. We are now beneath the Western Wall, and this is one of the most fascinating, even a sort of mysterious section of the wall. Tell us what we're looking at right now, and man, it is massive.
You're actually touching now a colossal sized stone that is estimated to be more than 400 tons in weight.
Tons.
Yes. And this is a continuation of the famous praying plaza of the Western Wall. Technically, it's the same Western retaining walls. Sometimes you see people putting notes here.
Yes.
Okay.
So where we just were, and I prayed there, and you and I did an interview there, that is a continuation, but you can see that. This, the general public cannot see.
Yes, this was surveyed in the 19th century by British scholars. But after the Six-Day War, we started excavating it, exposing it, and it's really a problem because above our heads is the Muslim Quarter. So instead of digging
Muslim Quarter of the old city.
Yes. So instead of digging from the top, we are digging from the side, and we formed a tunnel parallel to the Western Wall all the way to the northern edge, exposing the full length of the Western Wall from the southern end to the northern end. Okay, and that was already completed many years ago, but the research still continues elsewhere around here.
These are the Western Wall tunnels, and
Yes.
this must have great significance, this portion of the wall, because we're getting closer to a very special place, right?
Yes, it's both an archaeological site, a tour attraction, and a holy place. Because the whole reason this wall is also considered holy is because when you're standing here, you are at the closest to where the Holy of Holies, where the Ark used to be. But now, if we go that way, we get to an even closer spot. So it's actually maintained by the Ministry of Religion, and it's considered a holy place.
It's getting narrow in here, Danny. Tell me where we are right now along the Western Wall tunnels.
Again, this is the Western Wall.
Amazing.
And above our heads is daily life of the Muslim Quarter.
And again, it shows you how huge the Temple Mount, the complex above is. Because that plaza is so massive above, it makes sense that this is a long wall that keeps going and going, seemingly, underground here.
And at some point, they left a section with glass floors so you can see that it continues also beneath us.
I wanted to ask you that. How deep down does this wall go? Where was street level 2,000 years ago during the time of King Herod?
At the Western Wall, the street level is about 5 meters beneath the praying plaza, and the bedrock itself is another, 5 meters or so.
Now, meters for an American audience, what would meters be?
15, 16 feet. Like three
You're
times
very
and
good.
3 times and a bit.
I was an English major, not a math guy, so you are very good.
Now, what's amazing in this case is that here is the Western Wall piece.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't it in place, Eric? This is the Roman destruction of Jerusalem, 70 AD.
Wow.
This is the destruction of the temple and Jewish Jerusalem gone.
So we have signs of that destruction
Yes.
right beneath our feet right now.
Yes, this is before year 70. That stone is after year 70.
Wow.
Okay?
Unbelievable.
That is unbelievable.
We are walking history right now.
Eric, this is more of the Western Wall, but this area, this spot specifically, is also holy by many Jews. In fact, many Jews that will come here will put their kippah on, because this is like the Western Wall praying plaza. It's a holy place. And why? Here's a diagram showing what we think the Temple Mount used to look like. And we started at the Western Wall,
Right.
we moved into the tunnels, and now that we are here, we are at the closest point to where the Holy of Holies of the temple used to be. The closest point to where the Ark was held.
Yeah. And the Ark, which included, of course, God's divine presence.
The Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's why also many people will put notes here specifically, because it's so close physically to God's presence, the Shekhinah,
Wow.
the Holy of Holies, the place of the Ark.
The Shekinah glory. Now, this is not visible to the general public. But this is really the holiest portion of the Western Wall.
Yes. The only way to see it, to come here, is to join a tour of the Western Wall tunnels, and then you also get to this point.
Ze'ev, it may be the greatest archaeological mystery in all of history, the location of the Ark of the Covenant. Indiana Jones found it, but in real life it has never been found. But the room where we are standing right now may hold some very important clues. Tell us about it.
So we're here again in the city of David, site of biblical Jerusalem. We are standing inside a cistern that would have held water, dating back some 2,500 years. First Temple period, Jerusalem. But when you look at this cistern, there is one wall that is not covered in plaster, which seems to be a bit strange. If you look over here, you could see that one wall just does not fit in.
It looks like it was almost hastily put together.
That's right.
Like a rush job.
That's right. This wall is directly adjacent to the western wall of the Temple Mount. And one of the great mysteries for generations has been what happened to the Ark of the Covenant. The question is, when was it lost? And for that story, we have to go back some 2,700 years to the time of the biblical King Hezekiah.
The prophet Isaiah.
That's right, prophet Isaiah.
First temple, Solomon's temple.
You have King Hezekiah, the prophet Isaiah. The kingdom of Israel has been exiled by the Assyrians, Sennacherib. And now Hezekiah is ruling the kingdom of Judah, and he knows that Jerusalem is next. The kingdom of Judah is next, and the Assyrians come to Jerusalem, and they surround the city.
And they were bloodthirsty. The Assyrians were fierce and brutal.
But the prophet Isaiah says, Hezekiah, don't worry. By the way the king of Sennacherib came, so shall he return. He will not enter Jerusalem. Not a single arrow will fall within the walls of Jerusalem. And the next morning, the entire Assyrian army is gone. Now,
how many?
You're talking well over 100,000, according to the Bible. And now Hezekiah's son, Manasseh, who was not like his father, he did not walk in the ways of the Lord. Biblical scholars believe the wicked King Manasseh, for his own reasons, prepares these subterranean hiding places around and beneath the Temple Mount.
Perhaps someplace like we're standing right now?
Absolutely. Biblical scholars believe it could be somewhere in this vicinity. Now, why is he so concerned about the Ark of the Covenant? It's not because he was a deeply religious person. He wasn't.
He was anything but.
Anything but. But he understood that the Ark of the Covenant, at least for him, represented a national treasure. And therefore, he has the same interest that perhaps the prophet Isaiah also does at the time, when he prophesies that Jerusalem is going to fall, that he understood that at some point the temple treasures, the temple itself, it's not going to save Israel if they sin. And so Manasseh said, I'm going to come up with hiding places to hide away the Ark of the Covenant. A few generations go by, and now Josiah, the righteous King Josiah, is ruling. And he begins to see, so to speak, the writing on the wall. And he gets the feeling that it's time to hide away the Ark. And so what does he do? For one last time, there is a big national celebration of the Passover holiday. And so now we're reading from 2 Chronicles, chapter 35, verse 3, where Josiah says to the Levites who are consecrated to the Lord, who taught all of Israel, put the holy ark in the house that Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, built, as you no longer carry it on your shoulders. See now to the service of the Lord your God and his people Israel. So seemingly, Josiah is telling the Levites, that's it. You're going to carry the ark one last time, and then you're going to hide it away for it to be saved for some future time.
Josiah maybe saw or felt the gathering storm on the horizon in the form of the Babylonians.
That's right.
King Nebuchadnezzar leveled this place, leveled the first temple.
That's right. And so we have a clue from the Bible, because the Bible tells us that when Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, destroys Jerusalem, it actually lists the treasures from Jerusalem that are taken out of Jerusalem and into Babylon. And among those treasures, one thing is missing, and that is the Ark of the Covenant.
Conspicuous by its absence.
Absolutely. There are lots of mysteries People say perhaps the ark is in Alexandria, Egypt, perhaps in Ethiopia. But one other prevalent theory is perhaps it's still in Jerusalem. Perhaps it never left.
I know people at home are probably thinking, okay, the wall's there, just knock it down and see what's behind there. You've excavated so much else here at the city of David, but kind of a political hot potato, right?
One of the significant aspects of Jerusalem, it's historically significant, it's religiously significant, it's politically significant, and in the Middle East, when you throw all those ingredients into the pot at the same time, it can be volatile. And therefore, the mystery of what has happened to the Ark of the Covenant, at least as far as this wall is concerned, we'll have to wait for some future time until there is more tangible evidence, more solid archaeological proof of what may have happened to the Ark. What we're left with is speculation and theories and a lot of anticipation.
Ze'ev, thank you so much, my friend. Always a pleasure with you, and you always bring us the absolute cutting-edge stories here in Jerusalem from the city of David. Thank you, my friend.
Pleasure's always mine.
What a fascinating day it's been exploring the sites of the Temple Mount with our good friends Danny the Digger Herman and Ze'ev Orenstein. From the Western Wall and its tunnels to the possible location of the Ark of the Covenant, this place is brimming with history, intrigue, and holiness. Now, what's even more significant is that this is the place where Jesus is coming back. Not DC, Paris, London, or Berlin. The King of Kings is coming back to Jerusalem. In Revelation 22:12, Jesus says of his return, "Behold, I am coming quickly, and my reward is with me to give to everyone according to his work." Folks, let's remember that even through these contentious times, Jesus is the one who empowers us, and yes, he is coming back. So be encouraged. Stakelbeck Tonight, my all-new nightly series on current events through a bold biblical lens. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching, and God bless.